I am Iron Man.
Hello there.
Avengers!
All right. Stars in Marvel, episode 22.
22.
So this episode, we're gonna be ranking the MCU Phase 4 titles, and that includes movies, or Disney Plus series, and the Disney Plus specials, the 2 Disney Plus specials.
Insane. Going into this, we talked about how I knew how big this was. Brendan was the one who tells me 17 titles. I'm like, that number just should not exist in one phase.
So I saw this online when I was looking up, or I forget, either online or it was one of the breakdown videos I think I was watching, and they said I think it was on New Rockstars, and they said that there's over 50 hours of content in Phase 4 of the MCU, which is the most content out of any phase, and it's more than Phase 1 and 3 combined.
Wow.
So Phase 1 through 3 is less hours of content than just solely Phase 4, which is insane.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's funny because I just looked at my light right in the eyes. I was watching a couple of videos on Phase 4 too the other day, and I still stand, we've talked about it before, but I still stand with this phase gets a lot of unnecessary backlash because it is what happens after Endgame. And so many people, they just wanted the critically speaking, you want those movies to stay the same and go up and up and up and up. And it's like nothing was going to beat Endgame, possibly ever. Secret Wars might not beat Endgame. Yeah. And it's the funny thing is, and this is what I heard in a video that I liked, is if you look back, the majority of Marvel movies, like regular non-Avengers movies, are very okay. They're good. They're consistently good. And that's what they're good at, is just a good movie.
Pumping out, yeah.
And that's, I think Phase 4 goes back to that formula very well for what it needed to do.
Yeah.
Not everyone is a home run, but that's fine.
I think Disney's main issue was they were pumping out so many good titles through like just regular MCU movie, like, blockbuster things. Yeah. And then they had Disney Plus come out, and they're like, oh, we can start putting our own things to street, like our own TV shows, and which, most of the TV shows were really good, but some of them were stinkers, not some stinkers, but not
just say
not as well thought out than the movies. I would say not as well produced as the movies.
Yeah.
Not even counting CGI or anything like that. But they just got so excited, like, oh, we can start putting out so much stuff, and then it's like, whoa, calm down a little bit. Like, you got 50 hours worth of content for one phase. Like that's a lot of character introduction, and there was a lot of character introduction in this phase as well.
And I think that's a good point to go off of, Brendan, is you mentioned, I already forget your exact wording, but what I'm trying to get to is how we're ranking these movies. We're not ranking these based off of a Rotten Tomatoes score kind of thing. We're going off of what is, in our opinion, the worst to best Marvel movies from Phase 4. All right, well, properties from Phase 4. And, maybe something that has a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes is our favorite. That's not true, but this is solely an opinion-based list. So if you hate it, get at us in the comments and feel free to let us know why we're wrong.
Hit us up. Roast us. I don't care.
I sure don't. What I do care about, though, is hitting that like button.
Hit it. Double tap it. Well, don't double tap it. Unlike it.
No, that takes it away.
Don't double tap. That's Instagram. Like it. Hit that subscribe. Do the thing.
Love it. And then so let's start.
Yeah. So we're gonna start unconventionally.
A
we're
little
gonna
unconventional.
we're gonna I forget if we had just talked about this before, but we forget if we had mentioned it on the last podcast or not. But we both share the same number one spot for Phase 4. So we're gonna start out with our number one, and then we're gonna go bottom up. So then number 17 to number 2.
So we're gonna go conventional, but we wanted to talk our favorite right away because we figured, why build up to the obvious? If you know the two of us, you know what you're getting at for number one.
You know it.
And it's Spider-Man No Way Home is both of our favorite movies from Phase 4.
Spider-Man.
Look, there are so many, and I actually just recently rewatched this last week. And I was so glad I did, because I was so worried, how much of this is based off the nostalgia factor in this movie, how much of this is based off of, the actors returning for not just the villains that I enjoy, but also the obvious Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, both of which I loved as Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Rewatching No Way Home, though, I don't care what anyone else says. It's a good movie.
It is really well done. I mean, yeah, there are some sloppy points, but that's any sort of MCU property. You're gonna have some sort of continuity issue, or that doesn't make sense. But we're talking about superheroes here, like
exactly.
Sorry. No, you're
sorry.
good. No,
the thing I wanted to mention before when we talked about how we're ranking our list, I also wanted to point out a little late here, like CGI, I know is very fluctuated in this phase, and people are arguing left and right about it. That doesn't affect my list at all.
No, it doesn't.
Just assuming Marvel CGI across the board.
My like main ranking for the list was just like how, number one, the impact it has on the MCU
makes sense.
And number two, just like how much I liked it, like
enjoyment,
yeah.
That's mine is purely enjoyment with the overall impact as well. And that's
go.
No, so it's just Spider-Man No Way Home. I just it does that in more. And something that really bothers me, I remember hearing on podcasts and in videos and reading in reviews, is people kept saying like, oh, it was too corny with its quoting old movies bits or with its references. And I just want to sit here and say, this is my opportunity to say, you're all being hypocrites.
Yeah.
Because when they pulled that shit in the Endgame, you fucking ate it up.
Yeah. When we went back to New York,
same thing.
Yeah, we went back to New York. We went back to Asgard. We went back to Morag and stuff like that. Like, it's all redoing stuff we did in previous movies. And like, yeah, they said, I'm a bit of a scientist myself and stuff like that. But that's,
I think that was the one that was like the most out of place.
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah.
But I mean, like, everybody gave a cheer in the theater when they heard that. Everyone was like, yeah, like, like it was like, oh, he said the thing. But I loved the movie. Like you said, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire being in it, Willem Dafoe. Perfect Green Goblin. I'm glad they didn't put that damn mask back on him because he doesn't need it to begin with. He looks like a damn goblin himself. So
it was so good how Green Goblin was handled in this movie. First of all, we finally get confirmation in the movies, at least. I don't know if like Sam Raimi ever said this, but like confirmation that the Goblin Serum is truly like, it truly made him like bipolar or personality disorder or whatever. That like Norman really wasn't in control. And to have that like plot added to this movie was so cool. I remember in the theater being like, holy shit, they addressed this. Like they didn't have to do that. They added a layer of element that just added more to the original movie lore now. Like, it's so cool to have something like that in it.
And even the attention to detail in makeup for when he's in Goblin and in like as Norman. When he's Norman, his teeth are like together like this, and when he's the Goblin, his front two teeth are separated.
Wow, I don't remember that at all.
I noticed that I didn't notice it, but someone broke it down in a breakdown.
You goddamn lot, no.
And they're like the attention to detail they did. I was like, that's so cool. Like that you can see when he's Norman Osborn and when he's Green Goblin. Like
that's very cool. And that's No Way Home just does a good job. And it also, I know I've talked about it in previous podcasts. I'll definitely talk about later in this podcast, but like the Spider-Man fights in this, the Doc Ock bridge fight, the Goblin fight in the hotel or the apartment building, the fights on the Statue of Liberty, like these fight sequences are very reminiscent to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or even a little bit to the Amazing Spider-Man series. in that they're actual fight sequences. We didn't really get fights in Homecoming or Far From Home. And as a
Yeah.
Spider-Man fan, I think Homecoming is probably my favorite Spider-Man film, but like because of how accurate it portrays Spider-Man,
Yeah.
but there's no actual fight. It's one
He
of my it's I love it because it's so realistic, but it is also like crushing sometimes to think about. Spider-Man hits Vulture once at the end of the movie and he's done because
Yeah.
like yeah, he's just a regular man. In
Yeah.
this, the fight between Goblin and
Oh
Peter
my God,
is
they're
so good.
kicking the shit out of each other.
Oh
Just
my god.
it really shows, because like you don't really get a feel of how strong Spider-Man is. Like,
Correct.
especially in I mean, I guess you do in Homecoming when he lifts the rubble
The
off of
building.
them. But like in combat, you don't get that feeling of like, oh, he can punch someone through a wall, like
Right.
multiple walls. Like,
It, it's something that they very well did in certain aspects of the movies. For example, in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, when he starts fighting Goblin at the end and he punches the wall and it's a brick wall that he punches
yeah,
through, that's when you're like, oh shit, he's not
wow,
holding back.
yeah,
Or in Amazing Spider-Man, when he catches the car in Times Square and you're like, oh yeah, he's
he's
super strong.
yo, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, that's
You
they
don't
do
really
it in
get
here
that.
too.
Yeah,
When he's fighting Goblin on the Statue of Liberty, he does the flip over him and he hits the shield and you hear that ring, and that's the moment when you're like, Tom Holland is not holding back right now.
no, yeah, he is not holding his punches.
It's it's so good.
Another reason I really liked No Way Home was it was kind of our introduction. Not it was our slow introduction into the multiverse, for the multiverse saga. I mean, I guess not slow. They really kind of topped it on heavy with the Raimi and Amazing Spider-Man verse, but it gave us a good segue into Doctor Strange and what's coming up in like Loki season 2 and Ant-Man Quantumania and stuff like that. That was my whole thing. I really liked the multiverse part of it because I think that's one of the coolest things they can do in the MCU right now. So
I agree. I think the multiverse saga, to have a movie like No Way Home be your jumping off point. I guess technically, I think Loki came out first, but we'll talk about that. But like, No Way Home really is the big. This is what the multiverse is. It's bringing every single thing that exists together,
yeah,
and what No Way Home does, whether it's for better or for worse in the future of the MCU, is it's made promises. It's
yeah,
made checks, and the question is, can Marvel cash them?
exactly.
Because we've talked about it, right? We got great cameos in Multiverse of Madness, but goddamn, Secret Wars, it has some shit to live up to. We
Yeah,
got Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back. Like, we have promises of Hugh Jackman on the horizon for Deadpool 3. Like, Marvel has such high expectations now for Secret Wars because of this movie being
yeah.
so good.
And now the like, is the original like is Edward Norton Hulk gonna show up? Is Eric
Right.
Bana Hulk gonna
And
show
we talk
up?
about that all the time, right? Like,
Is the original Reed Richards gonna show up? I forget the actor's name, but
I forget his name
are they
too.
gonna
But,
bring back Chris Evans as Johnny Storm and have Peter be like, wait, Steve? like that would be awesome. Like,
exactly. And it's because of this movie. And I think it does it. I think this movie was just, it was great. It did a great job. It had a very strong cast, to say the least. I mean,
yeah,
between the nostalgia actors and then the actual MCU actors, I think everyone crushed it. I think Aunt May, I forget her name, kills it in her scenes.
yeah. Marissa Tomei, yeah.
Like, when she delivers the "with great power there must also come great responsibility."
Yeah.
I remember in the moment, it's the SpongeBob meme. Get in, like, God damn it, get in. You know what's about to happen. But like, it's so good in that moment. And like, again, I'm not a big crier at movies, but like, God, it
hits you,
gets you in the scene.
My only gripe with the movie was
I'm curious what this is, because I have one gripe too, and I just discussed this with Val, so I'm interested in what yours is.
hold on. So sorry, something from Zoom just popped up saying I got free. Oh, it's not free. Never mind.
That's like, complain about
Zoom.
random things. I have
Something.
Norton antivirus, and I get pop-ups all the time from Norton. It's like, dude, I'm already paying you. What are you popping up for, dude? So your gripe than my gripe.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. So my only gripe with the movie was that Jamie Foxx was just normal now. Like, he was
Yeah,
kind of a nerdy. I feel like he like Jamie like actual Jamie Foxx was just like, I don't want to be that nerdy dude anymore.
a
Just
hundred
just
percent. That's what
just
happened.
just let me be cool. And they're just like,
Yeah,
okay, go
that's
ahead.
a. I think it's funny because like I did prefer this Electro
Yeah,
like
yeah, he was cool. It was
design.
yeah,
He was awesome,
yeah.
but absolutely canonically speaking, it makes no sense.
No, like, even uh someone said I think the lizard said something to him or something like that. Like you,
Yeah, he's like, you used to have an overcomb and
yeah,
empty teeth or whatever. What
yeah,
happened?
yeah. Like
And
I
then
was
he doesn't even answer.
yeah, I was like, you went from like a nerdy scientist to like this male model. Like
I do love, and oh my god, like I okay, we'll wrap up Spider-Man, but like just I love hearing the villains all talk to each other. It's
that
so
was
fun. It's
yeah.
such a good scene.
And seeing
God,
Norman and Doc Ock interact
them
with each other,
interacting
yeah.
is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's a 2000 Spider-Man nerds dream that we finally get. I'm gonna forget their names, but those actors
Oh,
as Doc Ock and Green Goblin interacting, because holy shit, is it? It's
it's
amazing.
Yeah, it's what we've always wanted to see.
And quite honestly, the worst part, and this isn't my gripe. I still have to get to. I have one gripe with the movie, kind of one and a half, but I have one gripe with the movie, and this isn't it. And the worst thing about this is of using this Green Goblin is, and I know Kevin Feige has said this, they can never use the Green Goblin now
Oh
because
no,
they've
it's
just
just not gonna.
established. Fuck, I can't remember his name.
Willem Dafoe.
Defoe. Thank you. Defoe is Green Goblin. Like he is
Mm-hmm.
the best, and in this iteration of Marvel, we will not try to recast that. And
Oh
just like that
no,
with JJ. And that's not my gripe, but like J. Jonah Jameson is very okay in this movie. He's just there.
yeah,
And like the bits of him that we get are perfect. We just I feel like we don't get enough. But like my actual gripe with this movie is if I had written it, I mean, nerd's dream, but like if I had written it, I think they should have used either Vulture or Mysterio. Essentially, an MCU Spider-Man villain should have been the grounded wire to these other villains.
yeah,
Like, I love this movie, and it's so much fun for all the things we've talked about. But I think as the MCU's third film, it would have meant a lot more to our Spider-Man kind of. I mean, it's hard to say that when the fucking villain kills Aunt May, but like I just would have felt like a more MCU film if an MCU villain causes this to happen.
yeah.
And quite
Causes
frankly,
like the rift, like
right, when you have 5 villains, I don't know why you didn't do a Sinister Six, probably because they're just going to do it later and that makes sense. But
it just wouldn't. Yeah,
it would have made sense to me to have like Mysterio didn't actually die, which I mean, we were all like, did he die? Like, I mean, who
Yeah, we
cares?
don't
He
really
can
know.
just come
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
And that's I just think it would have kind of meant it not meant it would have felt more MCU if an MCU based villain was the root of all evil for it.
yeah, yeah.
My other small minor gripe, I actually really like the design, but the integrated suit is so unnecessary. The golden
Oh yeah,
the gold spider, it does
yeah,
nothing. It does
no.
nothing. Like I like the design,
It was
but I every
it was a
time when I
little
watch
bit
it,
of
I'm like, that suit
nanotech.
does nothing.
Yeah, it was like what it because it was the nanotech from the
From the
claws,
Iron
right?
Spider.
Yeah, and it was like so you just put a little bit of the nanotech on the
And
regular
that's what,
suit, and that's
and he
it.
can't
Like,
use the Iron Spider technology because of like it's literally just this will be a different pop figure that Zach buys, and Zach
yeah.
did buy the other pop figure.
Yeah, that was a bit. That was kind of lame.
But
Yeah.
that's but yeah, like I said, I like the design. I just didn't like why it was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. I love this movie, and that's why it's number one. I don't know. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
All right.
Now on to the worst of the worst.
Bottom of the barrel now. This
Now,
is where it gets interesting.
I'm pretty sure we probably have the same thing, but
We've talked enough shit on it. I assume we have the same last. It's Eternals.
Eternals, yeah. Okay.
It's
That's
Eternals.
what I have as well. Yeah.
Eternals sucks.
Like there's no need for it. I mean, unless they're setting up something. I mean, it just added way too much into an already complicated multiverse saga. Like
Eternals
now we have the Celestials to worry about. Like, I don't know. It's way too much.
Eternals is I stand by this. I said it when it came out. On its own, it's fine.
Yeah.
6, 7 out of 10 kind of movie. Like it's fine, but it makes no sense as an MCU film.
No.
It just does not fit. And that's the difference between, I remember a lot of press was comparing it to Guardians of the Galaxy at the time because it was the next, who are these? No one knows. They're complete nobodies, C-list characters, blah, blah, blah. The difference is Guardians of the Galaxy in the MCU are nobodies. So they can exist and no one gives a shit. Eternals, it makes no sense that
For
people
them.
don't talk about this.
Yeah.
It just does not fit.
And like the other thing about Guardians is they have more of a personality. Like that, like,
absolutely.
they're all bouncing off each other, straight man, goofy man, all that type of stuff. Eternals is just like one boring ass character after the other. Like,
with the most unnecessary sex scene in a film I've ever seen.
God,
and I made this joke last time, but I might put this as a worse sex scene than the one in the room where the guy doesn't even know what he's doing.
Yeah,
like this to tell me, I still didn't even dignify looking up the director's name. Actually, I have it right here. Chloe Zhao.
Chloe Zhao, yeah.
I'm so sorry, Miss Zhao, but like, you don't need to show a sex scene to establish that people love each other. You showed a wedding, and quite frankly, you could just assume based off that they are in love.
Yeah. This movie was just one thing. I mean, like you said, it was a good movie on its own. If they didn't, like, this would be a good sci-fi movie. Kind of like how I felt about Venom. Like Venom, like the first Venom, I liked it. It was a good sci-fi movie. It wasn't a great Marvel movie. You know what I mean? I guess Sony.
It's a Venom movie. Venom works as Venom.
Yeah. But like,
I do like Venom quite a bit. I will say that.
The first one was,
I'm very much a Venom nerd.
But yeah, Eternals just it just didn't do it for me. I was excited because like the Celestials are cool. They're these giant ass cosmic cosmic beings, and like, but it's just they weren't real. They were in the movie for like 2 seconds, and how the hell are they gonna fit in with all this multiverse stuff? Because they don't deal with the multiverse. They deal with I don't know.
It's an artsy fartsy bunch of nonsense,
and then the end credit scene with Harry Styles as Thanos' brother, and there's so much going on, and it's just...
I was actually going to say that earlier. That's how you know the movie's bad, because when I finally, like, I saw the movie, I saw it premiere. I don't know if I saw it Thursday or Friday night, but I saw the movie. And what I always do is I go look at reviews, see how people are thinking. When the article's headlines are all Harry Styles, and that's the end credit scene, that tells you everything you need to know. Like, that's horrible.
And the thing that pisses me off is obviously they're going to be doing a second one because they have Harry Styles and
Angelina Jolie.
And the Pip, whatever the little like thing, that's Patton Oswalt. That was Patton
and that's I'm so happy he's officially back in the MCU.
Yeah,
he was in Shield. I'm so happy he's back, but also I think he's wasted on this character.
They should have waited for him to be the actual MODOK. Like, I know.
That would have been great. I love the
animated
show.
thing. Yeah, it was good. Yeah,
it was funny.
They should have waited for him to be the actual MODOK. Like that, he would have been perfect. He's perfect as the animated one. But like,
I think using him as Pip is such a waste of Patton Oswalt. But I mean, I'm glad he's in the MCU. Technically, at least we'll see if he comes back. I don't know. But yeah, Eternals sucks. Eternals is the bottom of the list.
What do you got? What do you got? Is 16.
16. All right, so I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't know. We'll see. 16's Black Widow.
Okay. My 16 is Moon Knight.
Okay. Okay. This will be interesting. 16. So I'll go first.
Yep.
This is a shame, is the best way to put it, because I like Black Widow as a movie. Yeah. I do. I think it's a good movie. I've definitely talked about it once on here. I've rewatched it once. I cannot get over the fact that it takes place pre-Endgame. I have no interest in I want to focus on the future, and taking steps back before Endgame, it just ruins it for me. And I have I'm going to talk about rewatchability a lot here, and
Yeah.
this has no rewatch factor to me.
No.
Other than to see what's his name as Red Guardian in all honesty.
Well, he'll be in Thunderbolts.
And exactly. So that even takes away that. And I'm not talking about who is like the new greatest actress of our age, basically. What's her name being the new Black Widow? I can't I don't know.
Scarlett Johansson?
No, new Black Widow.
Blonde. Florence
Florence Pugh. Florence
Yeah.
Pugh is amazing in this movie, and I'm super excited for her future. But there's two reasons why I'm not watching this for her, and that's because A, her future is guaranteed in the MCU because of how popular she is, and B, because she has another title in this list.
Yeah.
So Black Widow just has no rewatch factor for me, and it's so boring to go pre-Endgame. I just don't. And then the final, I enjoy the final fights. I don't like the helicarrier or whatever they're on blowing up in the like free fall scene.
Oh yeah,
it's like it's like she's falling, and you're like, what are you gonna kill her? Like what? Yeah. Like what the fuck are we? Like,
what are we doing? Yeah.
The best part about Black Widow is Taskmaster. I love Taskmaster as a villain. I really do, and I'm very excited. We'll see her return.
She'll be back. Yeah.
Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
So that's Black Widow for me.
I feel like it would have made more sense for Black Widow to be made as like a Black Widow origin, almost like kind of going back into Natasha's
like even further,
past,
like Captain Marvel style.
Like yeah, exactly. Like show the thing that her and Clint always talk about was Budapest or whatever. And they're like, it's like Budapest. Like, why didn't they just show that? Like you've talked about it in every single Avengers movie. Why haven't we seen this? Like,
I think if you make that origin movie, and then you can make the fat jokes for Red Guardian and Thunderbolts. Like you don't, he can be fit in that in the origin, and then he's just fat in the next movie that he already had established. Like, yeah, that's my problem. So I'll leave it at that. We'll talk about it more later, I guess, when you get to it. But it's just
it's not far off. It's not far off on the
list.
Don't worry. So Moon Knight was my 16.
Okay.
I was not. I mean, I enjoyed some of the episodes. I feel like this was out of place for Phase 4. It had nothing to do with anything in Phase 4. Mm-hmm. It was just strictly, hey, some people like this character, some people know this character. We're just going to make a show out of him. It has nothing to do with anything else in the MCU, but here you go. And I don't know. It just felt very forced and very like, we're going to push this on you. Hey, remember Blade was at the end of Eternals? Well, here's this new guy that may be teaming up with him in about 7 years when we get a Midnight Suns movie.
Oh, no. Time out. Going back to Eternals, fuck the end credit scene.
Oh, yeah. With
the Blade voiceover. Yeah. You can't even show us Blade.
You can't even get a step in and Mahershala Ali with some glass. Not even a full body shot. Just neck up with the glasses. Just
right.
Are you sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman?
Like Valerie and I saw that movie Eternals, and we questioned if it was Utah the Guardian from What If.
Oh yeah,
because it was a voiceover. So what my immediate reaction is
they sound very similar. The guy that voices Uatu and
Uatu,
the guy
not
in
Utah. Who's Utah? Oh, it's a state. But no, like I just was my immediate reaction is, it's someone like they can't show.
Yeah.
So like Uatu makes sense.
Yeah.
The fact that it was Blade and they just didn't get the schedule like that, you should have cut the scene.
Cut it out.
Dumb scene.
Just show him looking at the blade. Just show him looking at the sword, and that's it. Don't bring in Blade into this because we're not going to see Blade until another 3 years or 2 years,
I bet
whatever
we
it is.
See Blade. I don't know. But going back to your comment on Moon Knight, I will say, interesting thing enough, my brother-in-law Steve, shout out Steve, who may be listening to the podcast.
Yeah, Steve.
But he's an avid Moon Knight comic book fan.
Okay.
From like his origin, and it was interesting talking to him too because like I knew stuff about Moon Knight from the comics, but not as a reader, just like kind of secondhand comics. So I knew enough going into the show to enjoy the show. He knew a lot And because of that, I know he liked the show, but I think he didn't love the show because of the differences.
Yeah.
And then I'm also putting words in as well, so feel free to yell at me, Steve. Don't next time I see you.
Throw it in the comments.
But Brendan, I've been meaning to bug you about this because I don't think we've talked about it. As someone who knew nothing, assumably, about Moon Knight,
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
no
obviously
knowledge.
you didn't love it. It's number 16.
Yeah. I had no real previous knowledge of anything Moon Knight. I didn't know that the dissociative or whatever it is, the dissociative identity disorder or whatever.
Yeah.
Multiple identity disorder, whatever it is. I didn't know that was part of Moon Knight's whole thing. I thought that was just something the MCU added in to like,
Okay.
make it a thing about mental illness or something like, you know what I mean? Like, how they spice up, jazz up.
Well,
things.
that's a big difference was his personalities exist in the comics, but they're not how they portray them in the show.
Okay,
so like
one's not
they
like
took
a nervous
liberties
Nelly
on the
one,
personalities.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was because I've seen like comic pictures of like, the suited Moon, like the suit Moon Knight, like Mr. Knight or whatever they call him, Mr. Moon Knight, and then like the regular, hooded, tattered cape Moon
Like
Knight.
in the comics, that's one guy. That's like out of his 3 personalities, the same personality is Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. Okay. So that's what, like, right there, that tells you differences already. You know what I mean? Like,
gotcha. Yeah, it was just it was too early to introduce Moon Knight. I feel like because we're not even anywhere near close to a Midnight Suns, or I can't even.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't even see Moon Knight showing up in like Secret Wars. Like what the hell? Like like
what would he contribute to?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree. Unless they have like in Secret Wars, like one of the lands is like protected by the Midnight Suns or something, like, and they just have that whole group just established. That would kind of be cool.
That's
but
true,
like,
and it's just
overall, I agree with your point.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Just way too soon. I feel like MCU or Marvel just wanted to pump out a bunch of content, and they're like, "Hey, Moon Knight, cool, throw him in."
I think my biggest criticism about it, and it could be said about a lot of these, should have been a movie. Like Disney Plus or not, should have been a movie.
Would have made it. It would have cut.
You would have condensed it and made it better.
It would have cut down on the the nonsense in the show.
Correct.
But you want to move on to 15?
Yeah. So my 15 is Miss Marvel.
Same here.
Nice.
Same here.
Yeah, it's really funny because that's our big first Marvel thing. Well, yeah, Doctor Strange was our first real episode, but I think our first show we did was Miss Marvel.
Big coverage, was Miss Marvel.
And it's such a shame. I think this show suffered greatly from a lack of interesting antagonists.
Yeah.
I think there was really no clear villain other than at some point Damage Control was just, it's too much for them or whatever.
There was just so much going on. There was Damage Control. There was the clandestines. There was
the
Red Hood people, or I don't even know if he was really a villain at one point, or sort of was. And
again, just this would have benefited from being. It doesn't even have to be a movie, but like less, because
they honestly could have just introduced her in the Marvels, have like the first, third
kind
of the
like
movie.
How Ironheart was just introduced in Wakanda Forever.
Exactly. Yeah,
would have worked great.
Easily done that with Miss Marvel.
Yes, agreed. I think it just suffered, which is a shame because I love the cast. I think the cast was great for Miss Marvel.
All the actors were great. The characters were. I mean, the
her powers wasn't even the issue. It just was the story itself was very fine.
The whole like Nor energy light dimension bullshit, and it's like we got another dimension now. There's dimensions and universe.
And then when you get to the Red Hood hideout and they pull out the they pull out the holographic cube map thing, and you're like, where was this? Like,
what is this bullshit? Yeah,
you're not Tony Stark. Like, we gotta have some grounded reality in this universe.
Yeah, the show was just a mess. I feel like, again, with a lot of the Disney Plus shows, I feel like they were just like, hey, this is a character that people may like, and we'll possibly have further tie-ins. And again, no real huge MCU implications, I guess, other than the ending with, Captain Marvel and her switching places. They literally could have just had that one episode and be like, okay, this leads into the Marvels. Like, right. And make it a special presentation or something like that, like a one-off thing.
The best thing I think I could say about it is it it benefits from being simple because you don't need to see it before Captain Marvel too, or the
Yeah.
Marvels. Like I think that's the best part about it is if you were to tell me all of the Disney Plus Marvel shows were unnecessary to see, but like you enjoyed watching them, you would just have a different mindset on these shows as a whole.
Yeah.
Right. Like if all of these shows were Miss Marvel wouldn't be as bad because they're all to an extent not good.
Yeah.
Like that's just but because some of these shows really, really stand out, and because it is established that these shows are movie level importance to the MCU, this is just it ain't it, Chief.
It's not it. Yeah.
It ain't it.
Um,
So 14?
14.
So my 14, 13 kind of aren't hand in hand, but similar enough. My 14 is the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Okay.
Not in a bad way. I think what I'm gonna clarify is by passing Miss Marvel, we have gotten to the point where I don't have real negative things to say now. It's just the order of my enjoyment, essentially.
Yeah. Pretty
And
much.
I'm sure I'll have things negative to say, but like the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special being number 14 is it's mostly because it is what it is. It's great at what it is, though.
It's a
That's
one-off
the
thing. It's a goofy one-off fun,
right.
Hey, here's the Guardians doing Christmas stuff,
It's so much fun. I laughed really hard watching it, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'll probably watch it every Christmas, but
oh yeah, that's gonna be a yearly watch now. Yeah,
but,
I mean,
that's
add an America's hero Kevin Bacon in, you can't go wrong with that.
Exactly. And then I there is some pretty serious lore in that, by the way. We haven't really said this, but we've also kind of addressed spoilers for all of these, obviously.
Yeah,
But
spoilers.
I mean, telling us that that Peter Quill and Mantis are brother and sister in the holiday special.
That is
I was like, wow,
crazy.
okay.
I wasn't really I wasn't paying attention at first, and then I heard that I was like, whoa! I had to rewind it real quick. I was like, what just happened? I was like, that's a major detail.
Like you're watching it and you're like, my mindset was not prepared for that level.
I was just like,
seriousness.
I was like, hey, Kevin Bacon's in space. We're having fun. They kidnapped and then she was like, oh, by the way, I'm your sister. I'm also part God. It's like, what?
What?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's what it's just, but it is a holiday special at the end of the day, and I think others on here are better for not being. So I guess is the best way to put it. That's it.
My 14 was She-Hulk.
Okay. Okay.
Now I know we gave it high praise, and I still give it high. I give the first 4. I don't know. I forget how many episodes there were and where it started taking a dive, but I say I give the first 4 episodes. If they just cut it off at the first 4 episodes, it'd be way higher on my list.
Okay.
But then it started getting into some really weird bullshit. The twerking with Megan Thee Stallion, and
you did not like that.
The wedding scene, the wedding episode,
oh my God, I hated
and all that. It just didn't make any. It all just kind of it started out really cool with, hey, here's her interacting with Hulk, and hey, here's this, and oh, she's a fun lawyer, and hey, here's Daredevil, or Daredevil might be coming. You got to wait 5 more episodes, but it kind of drug you along, and it's another thing where it could have easily just been introduced in a World War Hulk movie or something like that. Like, hey, my cousin got almost
it suffers from something very similar to the Miss Marvel syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I did enjoy the show. It's just the last it was probably a 9-episode series. I think the first 4 episodes were amazing, and then after that, just kind of
that middle arc though hurts. It's you want to talking rewatch. I would probably go back and rewatch the last 2 episodes because it's the Daredevil episode followed by the Kevin Feige episode. But the others, it's why that wedding episode is so bad. It's so bad.
And the other thing that it got pointed out to me during a breakdown I was watching, they really, really kind of fucked themselves over with introducing Scar already, because now we can't get World War Hulk truly how it was in the comics, because
the Scar thing is going to be really weird. It's going to make no sense, and it's very much timey-wimey bullshit. That's what they're going to do.
Because now he's back on Earth, so obviously nothing happened.
Right,
nothing that we know of happened. Hulk seemed pretty or Bruce Banner seemed pretty chill, so it's not like he hulked out and destroyed a planet. And I don't know. Well,
And we haven't really talked about this, but the fact that they're alluding to a World War Hulk movie that's not in the Phase 5 or 6 slot, like,
is kind of
is it? I mean, I guess Phase 6 there's a couple of empties, but we already filled one with Deadpool 3,
yeah.
and I mean, I think that's an interesting choice, is the fact that they're setting that up, and we're like,
where is it going to fit
where's
in?
that come? Yeah, exactly.
Especially before Secret War, especially before Kang Dynasty. Like,
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It'll be interesting. But yeah, I can't. I mean, yeah, all good points. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. What do you got for 13?
So like I said, kind of hand in hand. It's the other special. It's Werewolf by Night. And again, it's not a negative thing, but as of right now, I don't really have any reason to go rewatch it.
Yeah.
Love the introduction of Man Thing. I think it's a great character that they've added. Love Werewolf. I thought him interacting with Man Thing was great. I thought it is one of the most, that wasn't going to be a real sentence. It's one of the better written things in Phase 4. That's the best praise I can get. Like, if I was just ranking the shows, this would probably be like, I don't know, top 3, 4, something like that.
It was very well done.
Very well done.
Yeah.
But I just, right now, it has no rewatch factor for me. And like, I enjoyed it. But again, like, I see myself watching this next Halloween. And that's about it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, again, it's got no real implication into the MCU.
Just yet, as of right now.
Like, I could see this leaning in towards like the mystical, creepy side of the MCU, like when we get the Midnight Suns, like the Blades and all that type of stuff.
I hope so.
Which
because
makes sense.
They're all monster hunters. That's their whole thing.
Yeah. Apparently, Mahershala Ali was supposed to be in the movie. Like, was supposed to be in the special, and they were just kind of like, it's a little too soon. Which makes sense. I'm kind of glad they didn't do that.
I think they're trying to get him in as soon as possible. But at the same time, they're not trying to screw it up, and it's a good thing.
Just wait till the movie. I feel like wait till the movie.
I'm worried. I don't know. I am a little skeptical and worried at this point about Blade.
Yeah,
I think if they get the ball rolling, it'll be great. I just feel like
it's like where does he fit in? Because he's not going to fit. Obviously, they're setting up a Midnight Suns thing, and it's not. I don't think Blade's really going to show up much in Secret Wars because, like, what the hell's
No, it's almost like Blade and Midnight Suns can be the next Netflix Defenders style thing. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It can be its own thing.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be intermingled with what's going on in the greater MCU.
They could just have a cameo or nothing. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. It was a good getting back to Werewolf by Night. Great show. Great special. I really liked how they weren't afraid to go with the gore because it was in black and white.
Yes.
Which
was cool.
Which was awesome. We've never really seen that type of gore, like, him ripping people open and ripping, like tearing people to shreds. Like, it was cool. And Man Thing just dissolving someone, like, that was awesome. Like, well, we're on 13, right?
We are, yes. Yes, 13. So Brent, so that was my 13. Brendan, you're 13.
My 13 was Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay. So, hold on. We're gonna kind of combine then, because my 12 is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let's just talk about it.
Yeah, I'll go real quick, as my 12 was already said. My 12 was Black Widow. So
okay.
So that was so Falcon and Winter Soldier. Decent enough show. Kind of boring at point. It's been a while. It's been over a year since I've watched it. I haven't rewatched it. I haven't really seen anything of it ever after I finished it. I know the original script, it was a virus that the terrorists were going to or the whatever group. I mean, let's be honest, they're terrorists. They blew up buildings of innocent people.
They were world terrorists.
Yeah. But then COVID happened, and they were kind of like, it's maybe not do a virus.
So was it the virus instead of the super soldier serum?
I believe so. They were gonna.
See, that's they were gonna
expose a virus to the world, and it was up to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And they called it COVID-19 because it was in 2019. No, it was this whole thing.
It was this whole thing.
No, go ahead.
but yeah, they cut that off. But no, I mean, it was a decent show. It just wasn't it wasn't as good as like the previous like WandaVision. I forget if Loki had come out during or before then.
It's a great question. I hold on, I have the list right here. Loki was third. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was second.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, compared to WandaVision, it was just kind of like, oh, this isn't nearly as good. Like
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I mean, like I said, this Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my number 12. So just right in the same. We're so close with this one.
Yeah.
It's good, not great. And if it was an MCU movie, it'd be good, not great.
Yeah.
It's very. It's Captain America, the first Avenger, and it's watered down is the best way to put it. Like
yep.
It's the same with less of the charm, and there's just so much bland nothingness in the middle that just kind of like you said, boring is great. It is but there's the problem is there's so many good points. Zemo returning, that's awesome. Zemo was great.
I honestly, up until this moment, forgot Zemo was in the show.
Because
it's been so long since I watched it. Yeah,
he's just kind of there, but he's funny and a good character when he's there.
Yeah.
The Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier, like he does a great job too. The dynamic between Falcon and the Winter Soldier is great. Like it's very truly a buddy cop and they don't get along kind of a thing.
Oh yeah.
And
I also really liked the one thing I really liked about the show was they dove into more of their personal lives. Like, Sam's family was struggling and, you kind of realize, hey, did the Avengers get paid? Like,
right. No, apparently Pepper Potts is just a selfish bitch and doesn't give any money to them.
Uses all our money to make goop. And then like, you kind of dig into Bucky's past of like he's making amends with all the people's family members he's killed. Like he kind of was trying to apologize to that dad of the the son he killed, like just being the Winter Soldier. And it's kind of like it wasn't really him, but physically it was him. So he still feels that guilt. Like I went out and killed all these people. I mean, yes, I really didn't have control over what I was doing, but I still did it. So he kind of,
and that was one of the stronger arcs in the show. Like Bucky fighting with that and befriending the father of the guy because like he couldn't come to terms with what he had to do yet. And that was a great arc. And I just look, the politics of it is so boring. It's so boring. And that's what like, I like the idea that they were like, let's figure out how does the world react to the blip, and not just the blip, but them returning. Which I don't know.
There was
how does the world react to the snap and then the blip? Because that's the two events, right? And that's the whole argument. That's why they're terrorists, is because they want to, like, we should move forward, not backward. And that's like, it's a great. That in theory is a great conversation. Like, where do you go from when you have half the population disappear and return? What happens? Because it's a nightmare of an idea.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That concept of conflict is great on paper, but when it just ends up being a bunch of people arguing for 30 minutes, no one fucking cares.
Especially in an MCU property. Like, we want to see superheroes doing superhero stuff. We don't want to see people arguing in a boardroom. Like,
and I can't take credit for this. It was one of the videos I like is Mr. Sunday Movies, and I remember their review of it. They talked about like Falcon, once he's Captain America, has this big speech to the senators, right? And like, you have to do better.
Yeah,
and it's like, but you don't present a solution. I understand what they're trying to get across, but it was very lazily written.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's not enough is essentially what it comes down to. You have a almost good idea for a show, and it's just not there. It's not quite there. The best thing about Falcon and the Winter Soldier is that Captain America suit freaking slaps.
Awesome. Yeah. I didn't know how they were going to pull it off. But when he swung in that bit, like when he flew in that building at the end, I was like, "Damn, that is cool!" Like that is.
I'm
awesome.
so glad
comic
that
accurate
Santa's Cap.
Yeah, Yeah.
It's a great costume, and it's very comic accurate, by the way. For when like it's I didn't think
The
they could
face,
pull it
like
off.
they kept the face mask with
Yes,
the neck thing,
the
like it all
like
kind of
neck
connects, but
guard
the
face
head, his
mask.
head is exposed. Like, oh, it's so cool.
It's very well done, and it's a real suit too. Like so many, like
Yeah,
we talked about Wakanda Forever, the CGI suit. Like it's so
it's
cool,
yeah,
and that is hands down the best. Like the final episode is a very fun action filled episode
yeah,
of that show.
yeah.
Um,
One
I
one thing we didn't mention, which I thought was a pretty cool scene, was or not cool scene, but a cool character was John Walker, the U.S. agent. I
I
thought
love U.S. Agent.
I
Can't
thought
wait
it
for him to
was
be a Thunderbolt.
I thought it was cool that they, you kind of see like, hey, this is what happens when people take being Captain America. Wait, like, he thinks he has all this power and he's really just a dude. Like,
I think the thing I liked about U.S. Agent is it very much is what happens when a person is doing their best and that just isn't good enough. And
yeah,
and that's it, and he struggles by comparing his life to the lives of Avengers because he's trying to live up to Avengers and he can't do that.
yeah,
And God, I love the US agent story. I really do. And
yeah,
that's what like there is so much good potential in Falcon and the Winter Soldier as a show. It just doesn't quite make the mark.
no, yeah.
I
It was
also
kind of a letdown.
my last thing, I'm sorry, I feel like I kind of stepped in a lot for
No,
this,
you're
but
good.
I think, and this is, I know Val's opinion as well, in the moment, finding out that Agent 13, whatever, Peggy's
Oh, yeah,
niece,
yeah, 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 yep, yep.
in the moment, that was kind of like a fun, like, oh, she's
Oh,
bad.
she's the power broker. Yeah.
Retroactively, why? Like,
My
it
only
doesn't
thing
do
is,
anything finding out she's bad.
my only thing is maybe she's a scroll. That's what I've heard. I've
That
heard.
would rock. That would
Yeah,
be sweet. That would actually that would fucking rule.
yeah. That's what I've heard. Rumors is you're good. You're good. Is maybe she's a scroll. That's what
That
I've
would
heard.
rock.
Yeah.
I would
That
love that. That would make because that's kind of the thing. I really enjoy having her character back. Great actress, great character.
yeah.
But then like her just being bad because she had a rough 5 years. It's like again, I get the idea it didn't work out great for everyone, but like that's it. That's your explanation. Is
You
like, oh,
became
it's just
a.
been a rough 5 years. Like
It's been a rough 5 years, so I became a crime lord. Like
right, like you're not just in crime. You're in
you're
charge
in
of you're a
charge of
kingpin of
crime.
crime. Like
Yeah.
what?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
do you have anything else to add for Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
No, it was pretty much it. It was
Cool.
a decent show.
Um, but yeah, all right. So and like I said, that's my 12. So if you want to just go into your 12, then
My 12 was Black Widow. So we
right.
already covered that. So that's
Well, there we go. So my 11,
my feeling it might be the same as mine, but go ahead.
it's not.
Okay.
My 11 is Moon Knight.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
so this is my like, I Moon Knight, and I'm not going to say too much because even I like inputted already for Moon Knight. But the things I like about Moon Knight that puts it up here is that I just really enjoy that character, and I
Yeah.
really enjoy what's his name that plays him,
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. I do. I've actually rewatched a couple of random episodes from Moon Knight. I sit there and I'm like, God, if this was a movie, it would be great.
I think that was my main thing. Was if it was a movie, it would have been so much more enjoyable because there wouldn't have been as much of a
There's a
drag
lot of
with
fluff.
some of the
There's
exactly,
a lot of fluff in Moon Knight, and
Yeah.
like with Miss Marvel, like we said, oh, if this was a movie, I bet it would be better. With
Yeah.
Moon Knight, I just bet it would be great. Like,
Oh yeah.
I just think it has such a good story here, and it's so like, and even the thing that I think you didn't like about it that I enjoy a bit is that it's grounded in itself. It really is. There's no real MCU stuff going on except Moon Knight's own thing.
It could be its own show. You know what I mean? Its own thing by itself.
The biggest issue with that is it does suffer from Eternals a little bit here when you have two Egyptian gods fight on a pyramid.
Yeah, that was a little crazy.
That doesn't like, yeah, that is, I feel like that's the worst thing in this show. Because and then that's never addressed, of course. Is
no.
I mean, why would we talk about two giant gods fighting? But I just think there's a lot of good in the show. It could have been a great movie, and Oscar Isaac is just he's a lot of fun as Moon Knight, and
And Ethan Hawke was cool as the villain.
he was. That's
Yeah,
that. I
that was a
actually
cool
think
villain. I will give that.
the cast in this show is great in general. Like
Yeah.
it really is, and that's a. I just think it's almost great in itself, and a movie would have probably been just great as is.
Yeah.
And that's really it. That's really boom.
Number 11.
Yes,
What do you got? Oh no,
that
no,
was my 11.
that was your 11. My 11 is Hawkeye.
Okay,
Um,
I will say not next, but close.
I don't get me wrong, like other lower tier shows, I did enjoy Hawkeye. You know, we got Kingpin back in the MCU, which was awesome. Probably the coolest part of the show. Um, it was definitely a show that kept my attention, especially being for like the least interesting Avenger. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you think, man, Hawkeye is probably the least interesting.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize he had superpowers. Like, I just thought he was just really good at shooting arrows. I didn't realize he was like had perfect aim. Like that's I don't know
Sure.
if that's a superpower or if he is just really
That's
good
what,
at
like I don't
aiming.
I feel like they almost call it a mutant, but they don't
Don't.
call him a mutant. But
Yeah,
like I feel like that's kind of alluded to. I also like in Hawkeye the I really like the hearing aid aspect of it.
that was really cool.
Like
They do go through some loud shit being Avengers, like
right,
like
they really
explosions and
they really they're like yeah, Hawkeye's just a dude and he's like
yeah.
he's been through some shit.
He's not a billionaire. He's not a super soldier. He's not a smart a crazy gamma scientist. He's just a regular dude that is really good at shooting things
The
and
montage of
a
him
super
blowing up is
spy.
hilarious.
Oh
Like
yeah.
and
That was
actually
really
speaking
good.
of hilarious, the the musical Captain America the
Oh
musical
yeah, I can do this all day. Yeah,
he wasn't there, and Ant-Man just shows up
yeah.
in the musical.
That is and it does kind of show you like it almost kind of shows like PTSD as an Avenger. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely,
he,
no, it's absolutely what they're doing. Yeah,
he's sitting there, watching this play, and everyone's like, "Yeah, the Avengers," and he's like, I was there. I lived through this. Half of my friends died, like or died or just disappeared in time, aka Steve Rogers. But yeah, it's just kind of it showed you that like normal, but like the what the everyday man would go through being an Avenger. I mean, face it, Hawkeye is basically an everyday man. I mean, he's not a
yeah.
not a billionaire playboy philanthropist. He's not a super soldier. He's not the Hulk. He's not. I mean, he's a super spy, but
He's definitely got some shield money though.
yeah, it's true.
He's getting picked up in a limo. His family just
He's
goes off to that. He's not living that Falcon
he's
life.
not.
I'll tell you
No,
that
yeah,
right now.
no, he's not working a shrimp boat in Louisiana. He's um, but
No, I agree.
and Kate Bishop was cool. Awesome addition to the MCU. I'm excited to see her, play a more role in upcoming Avengers type movies. And the actor Haley Steinfeld, I believe, no, not Stein. It's not Steinfeld.
Haley
Steinfeld,
Yeah, I don't know.
something
Haley.
like that.
Our good friend Haley from the pod.
Our good friend Haley. No, she was good. I enjoyed the character. And Kingpin Echo is introduced, which that's going to be a show, and I don't know much.
I
About
don't
that,
like
so.
Echo. That is actually my least favorite part of the show. I hope I like her in her show because I don't dislike Echo. I don't want to come off as some women hating, disability hating person.
Girl,
But I don't like how they wrote her character in that show as so I don't know. She's just so flip floppy of a character, which is why she's gonna have her own show because she's gonna be the protagonist next, right? Like she's not the villain. And I don't know, maybe I just didn't like that whole anti-hero aspect of her. But I did want to ask, like, what did you think more critically of this show, and where does Kingpin fall? I know you mentioned him. Where does he fall in your like of the show?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely. I know we had talked about this before. I haven't fully watched the Netflix Daredevil series, but I knew. I mean, I knew.
Right,
Vincent D'Onofrio was Kingpin, and that type of thing. I thought it was cool they introduced him into the show. It was definitely a selling point towards the end. Like, oh wow, the
Oh yeah.
Kingpin, like that's awesome. But I just enjoyed the fact that they made me like Hawkeye. Um, Again, it wasn't the greatest show. There was a decent amount of fluff, like with the whole boyfriend, like the mom's boyfriend or whatever, like the sword guy.
I think
Um,
all of the fluff is really on Kate Bishop though.
yeah,
Like when
no,
you
like the
get
Hawkeye
actual
story is
Hawkeye,
yeah,
it soars.
and like it's
No pun
awesome.
intended.
It's awesome seeing. Yeah, I say we did that.
Eh,
I I
a
I, I
little
like.
intended.
I like how they added his wife into like the spy espionage aspect of it.
Yes.
Like she's not just some damsel in distress. She's like, "Hey, Clint, you got to get this. Got to get this. You know, hey, here's the info on this person. Hey, here's
That
this. Hey,
was
let me contact our contact. You know, let me get this person. You know, it was cool. Like she was
yeah.
part of his work, which you know,
Yeah, I'll just say my thoughts on Hawkeye now. Like I really liked it. I think it flows very I think it like is one of the few things on this list I'd say it worked as a show very well. Like
yeah,
as a show, I would not make this a movie. It was very good. My thing, Kingpin, I thought had a great introduction. I first of all loved D'Onofrio as Kingpin.
yeah.
I thought they set him up in one of the most comic accurate depictions ever. The
The
Hawaiian
Hawaiian
shirt
shirt.
under the
Yeah,
suit with the cane is so it's great. It's a great shot. Um I just kind of wish we had more of him. Like
yeah,
I understand the surprise villain there and it works.
yeah.
Like I can't really complain about it. I just kind of wish he was maybe an episode earlier and it would have been a little more stakes higher kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um I also am not crazy about the ending between Echo and Kingpin. Like
When she shoots
she
him or whatever.
shoots him
Yeah,
off camera and you're like, okay, well, obviously Echo
he's
didn't
not
get shot. She's getting a spin-off. And then you're sitting there like, did they really just kill
kill
Kingpin
King.
after one episode?
Yeah,
No, like
with a bullet. Like,
that's
can
so
Kingpin get killed by getting shot? Really? Like,
I and that's it'll be interesting because Kingpin is not as far as I mean, Kingpin is a Spider-Man villain who became a Daredevil villain, and he doesn't have superpower. I mean,
he's
he's just a
just
brute.
big, just a
He's
big
just a
dude.
brute, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what like so it'll be interesting to see what they do with there because there's no way he's dead.
no,
And I did not care for that fake off camera kind of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, okay. If you're good, I'll go to my number 10.
Yeah.
Which is She-Hulk.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I don't like we've talked about a whole bunch. I think something I said at the end of our review is what I'll say here, and I think this show is just going to age well.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of shit in the middle. Like, don't get that wedding episode. You said it,
Yeah.
and I'm still fired up thinking about it.
Steaming,
It's
steaming.
so bad, but the series as a whole. I mean, the introduction to Daredevil, like not just shoot, not the lawyer. Trying to think of his secret identity. Sorry.
Oh, Matt Murdock.
Murdoch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we got Murdoch in No Way Home again. Perfection, by the
Oh
way.
yeah.
But like we get Daredevil, and Daredevil's suit is great. Daredevil is great, and the ending for She-Hulk as a character, and the like, what's her name as the actress, like great, and she is
No,
not
she
the
was
problem,
she was yeah.
right? And the fourth wall breaking Feige confrontation at the final was so
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
My problem with this show, the only thing I don't think I've talked about already is there's a lot of surprise villains in the Disney Plus shows.
Mm-hmm.
And we basically got to a point where the surprise villain was going to be Todd as Hulk King, Todd the Troll as Hulk King.
That was
and then they wipe it with Feige, right? Like that's the whole thing is the real villain is the Marvel Studios writing room.
Yeah.
If and it just feels like it almost could have been Todd was the actual villain, this would be worse than Eternals.
That would have been bad. A terrible reveal.
Which maybe that tells you this is on the wrong place on my list, but I just, as a whole, I enjoy She-Hulk's character. I enjoy the Daredevil stuff, and I love the fourth wall break. So I'm gonna put it at 10, which is not quite halfway. I guess it is. We're 17, 19, it's like right there, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
My 9 and 10 kind of coincide with year, I believe was 13 and 14. My 10 is Guardians Holiday Special.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I know we had just talked about it. I really enjoyed it. Like you said, great watchability for rewatchability for Christmas. James Gunn always does a great job with the Guardians, so I really enjoyed it. It was just
I do.
funny,
I agree.
fun, and
They're really, it's funny. I think I said this earlier, but there's really almost nothing negative to say about it,
No,
which is
yeah.
why I respect it being so high on your list.
Yeah, I really like the Guardians characters in general, and we're probably going to start weaning them out soon as
Yeah.
Guardians 3 rolls around. So it's good to see.
I would
good to
not
see
be
them.
shocked if that whole team dies.
Oh yeah, I know
The whole team, like
yeah,
everyone.
because he's not going to be associated with it anymore, James Gunn,
I
because
know.
he's taking the helm at DC now. So
I think Nova's gonna be the credit scene,
yeah,
and Nova's basically gonna be the next big space thing.
and you think like
Um,
him and like Adam Warlock will team up and
I don't know,
have a
yeah,
couple
something like that. But
cosmic creatures. There's
also, I
gonna
didn't talk about it earlier, but Cosmo the dog was hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was good.
So funny.
Did you see Borat 2?
I did not see
Any
Borat
chance?
too.
There's a Russian or not Russian. She's a Russian actress, but she plays Borat's daughter or niece or something in the movie. She's the voice of Cosmo.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
funny.
that was pretty good.
Um,
And then what do you got for number 9? If you're cool
so
with going on to the next one.
yep, my number 9 is Hawkeye. So I don't
Okay.
really have. I think we hit the nail on the head with Hawkeye.
Yeah.
It's just I quite honestly I was thinking about it earlier, and I'm disappointed I haven't rewatched it this year. It as far as Christmas goes, like
It's a good
I
Christmas
thought
show. Yeah.
it was a great Christmas show, and I really enjoyed it. I think I'm actually going to rewatch it over the next couple of days, and for that reason, I like Hawkeye. I think the best thing to say is the biggest flaw I have is just that like credit scene esque ending, and the show as its own is a lot of fun, and that's why it's my number 9.
Yeah. My number 9 kind of coincided with yours, Werewolf by Night.
So you were like me, you put the
specials back
together and in the same order.
Yeah. I really liked Werewolf by Night. I know
Yeah.
we had talked about it earlier. It was just a really cool thing. It was the first special presentation that MCU has done. So it was, a nice little treat, nice little Halloween tidbit. So it was really well done.
I agree. It's again that near perfection. And if that's the one thing to take away from Phase 4 is that your specials that you make that are only an hour are almost perfect. Maybe do those. Maybe if Moon Knight was a special, maybe if Miss Marvel was a special, they would be great. And that's kind of the thing. That should be the takeaway.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just making a last minute edit to my list.
You doing an audible?
I'm doing an audible.
Doing an audible. Oh,
doing
shit.
a quick audible.
I actually was just gonna say, do you have anything else for Werewolf?
Nope, I'm good.
So before I say my number 8, so we're in the top half. Top 8.
Top 8.
I think this is going to be an interesting mix between the two of us. I'm not sure how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
But I think our top 8 are very
because now we're getting the upper echelon of Phase 4. The top.
Let's
top,
be honest.
Things
we're at the good shows and the movies and in general.
Yeah. So this will be interesting.
My number 8 is Thor: Love and Thunder.
Same here.
Same here. I think it's funny. It's funny. I didn't even realize that I did this. It's exactly the middle, right?
Yeah.
And I think it is the most average ass movie of the bunch.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
It was good. It just wasn't, it was like, oh, okay, this is, another. Do we really need a fourth Thor movie, or like?
I think I said it to my cousin Sean, and it just kind of feels this like it's not better than Ragnarok by any means, but it's a fun Thor movie. It's
fun. It's goofy. It's
a fun Thor movie, and for that reason, it's right there in the middle. It's
the only complaint I have is I feel like they wasted gore. They didn't have I was hoping they were going to have this cool montage of him going around killing gods and doing all this cool stuff, but they kind of just, I don't know. I feel like they wasted him a little bit.
They also, I forgot, we did review Thor on the podcast.
Yeah.
They wasted Gore, and I would argue they wasted Jane. They wasted the mighty Thor.
Yeah.
I like her in the movie a lot. And actually obvious pops. Fun pop is my mighty Thor pop. I really, she's like acting, it is a cool, hammer together. It's a good one.
Yeah.
I look her emotional impact, the emotional impact of her dying is not um taken for granted. I think it's huge. It means a lot. It's basically why Thor adopts what's her name as his child.
Yeah.
But she was really good, and it sucks that they killed her.
My biggest complaint was they had such a cool opportunity to show her like first suit up as the mighty Thor, and they just skipped it. Like you
Yeah.
see Mjolnir kind of
And
forming,
you
and then
never
it
really
just
get a suit up for her.
and they filmed one. They filmed
Really? I didn't know
they
that.
yeah, they have a scene of her like in like a harness thing, kind of getting lifted up in the air, like at where that like Mjolnir memorial site
Oh,
was.
yeah.
They have her like get lifted up in the air and and stuff like that. There's set pictures, and so they filmed something like that, and I'm pretty sure the producers were just kind of like, nah, we're gonna
That's
cut
what
it.
I'm curious how much of Love and Thunder is affected by the Marvel Disney production, because Ragnarok, Taika Waititi is fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, Taika Waititi and Mandalorian. Taika Waititi in general is
anything
fantastic.
is, yeah, he's great.
So it's hard to believe he missed, but like I actually would probably argue the things that are good in Love and Thunder are him.
Yeah,
And that's like I think we both really liked what's his name. I mean, with TD's
Korg.
Korg. Like I
Yeah, I
mean, he's a
love
good
Korg.
comic relief
Oh
character.
yeah.
And then his fake death is like funny, right?
Yeah,
Like it's amusing, and I think the things that he brings are good, better even, but there's a lot of kind of conflicting things that happen in the movie, which, like I said, holds it back a little bit. I think you said it good. It's a good movie. It's not a bad movie,
no,
but
yeah,
just it's not going to live up to other things.
and it's not as rewatchable as like Ragnarok. Like I don't think I could just throw this on a regular Tuesday night, crack open a
Oh,
beer and
see,
chill. Like I don't know. I haven't. Well, I have rewatched it. Honestly, I fell asleep during it. It was late at night, but
I was actually going to say that this is a good empty rewatch. This is you're playing video games on and you have it
just
on the
kind of
background
put it
or
on
like
background
working.
noise.
It's a good, like, oh, I enjoy this enough to half pay attention.
Yeah, you kind of be like,
Which says a
haha.
lot.
Yeah,
The only one other thing I actually thought about this while we were talking about it, because I said like I think Jane Foster, Natalie Portman's character is kind of wasted in this movie. Would it have been cool if Thor actually died and she fully took that mantle, or would that have been too much?
I think it would have been cool. I mean, all the other original Avengers are getting phased out, so might
And
as well
that's
phase out
I think
Thor. Like,
and it's fun, like Endgame, they do Captain America and Iron Man, they do away with them in an Avengers movie, right?
yeah,
They hurt Hulk in Avengers movie, although Hulk's back and fine, so who cares? To have Thor go out in his own movie kind of would have been badass.
make the most sense. Yeah,
Would have been kind of really awesome. I'm kind of shocked. I think that would have been great. But yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder. It's fine.
it's a movie.
It's a movie.
Number 7.
Okay, number 7. I'm glad we just talked about rewatch because this is playing huge into my number 7. What if?
Okay.
Number 7, which actually you not saying it's yours, I just realized that means it's higher for you.
Yeah.
I love What If. What If is the only Marvel show I can tell you I've rewatched at least 3 times.
Yeah, I've rewatched it a bunch.
Whether
too.
I've half watched it, like I just said, like situations where you're half paying attention, or if I've genuinely watched it again. I love What If, and it's a cartoon, and I'm a big cartoon nerd, so maybe that plays into it. But like the multiverse shit, and then bringing it together at the end, and there's flaws. Don't get me wrong; like it makes no sense why an Ultron with the Infinity Stones gets to fight the multiverse. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that don't quite make sense,
but it's fun.
I love What If. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, literally, you get to see what if this happened. What if Peggy Carter became Captain America or Captain Britain? What if, the Avengers turned into zombies and Peter Parker had, Doctor Strange's cloak of levitate. You know what I mean? Like all this cool stuff. Like that whole scene where Uatu's talking and then Ultron's like, huh? And like kind of like or Was it? Yeah, Ultron. Well, I think Doctor Strange does it as
They
well.
both do it.
They
I was
both
gonna
do it.
say they
Yeah.
both like there's you first see it with Doctor Strange, Utah talking, and Doctor Strange
Yeah,
like
yeah,
reacts, but he can't see him yet, and then eventually he does. Ultron's the one who's like, this guy, this guy
that scene,
out
and
here
then
in the
he
multiverse.
breaks through. I remember that when I first saw that, I was like, "Whoa, that is cool!" Like I was like, he's breaking through the multiverse right now, like, and just kick the shit out of Uatu. Like,
Yeah, and that's kind of my so that's my biggest gripe with What If, and this is where you take a step back, is it the finale is awesome,
yeah,
absolutely awesome, but on paper doesn't make sense, and the
no,
reason being is actually because of something we haven't talked to yet. Loki establishes that the Infinity Stones matter in their dimension.
yeah,
So the idea that Ultron like uses them to go multiverse doesn't quite
because they
jive
don't.
with me.
Yeah, they don't.
But
They wouldn't really work in other dimensions and stuff. Yeah,
right, but like it's a cartoon.
yeah,
It's great. It's an excuse that you have Killmonger, Black Panther, you have Peggy Carter, Captain America, you have Steve Rogers, Iron Man, you have what else? Gamora, King Gamora, whatever the hell they
yeah.
call her.
Drunk Thor. I mean,
Junk
kind of just like they're
fucking
just like
frat
frat bro
Thor,
Thor.
like
Yeah.
um
It was cool. We got to see Loki as a frost giant. Like
yes.
Loki was like that was awesome.
What If is a fantastic show, and that's
Yeah.
why I happily put it in the top 7.
Yeah. It was I remember being very skeptical, like, how is this gonna work? You know, how is this gonna tie in with stuff? Is it
And
gonna tie
then
in with stuff? And it
they
yeah.
so subtly use things from this in other things.
Yeah.
And
Peggy Carter
as
showing
a
up
fan
in
of
Doctor
What If,
Strange. Yeah.
we're like, oh, that's from What If, and it
Yeah.
just makes it all the better.
Yeah. It was very well done. I'm pumped for season 2.
I was about to say, it's the
Um
first show that's getting a second season.
yeah.
Very, very warranted.
Yeah. Number are you good with What If? Anything?
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this is your number 7.
My number 7 is Shang-Chi.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I liked it. I've only watched it once though. I think
Mhm.
that's where I'm at.
Sure.
I just I watched it once. I did like it. I just don't find it very rewatchable. I don't
Okay.
have that like feeling of like, oh, I really want to watch it. Like every time I go to watch it, I'm like, I'm gonna have to pay attention. Not pay attention. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
No, I understand.
it was a very good movie. Introduced a new character. I had no any sort of recollection about. I had no
Right.
idea who Shang-Chi was and what his. And I didn't really even know much about the Ten Rings. I know it was introduced slightly in Iron Man 3, but that was a fake out. So
Right. Good little. I actually introduced in Iron Man 1. The terrorist group is the Ten Rings.
Oh yeah, okay. But I liked how they brought back the guy from Iron Man, Ben
Yeah.
Kingsley from like I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's honestly I couldn't review it right now because I don't remember much of the movie.
Sure.
'Cause I watched it
Yeah.
over a year ago, but from what I remember from it, I did enjoy it. That's why it's in my my top 10. But
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah.
So my number 6.
Yeah.
My number 6 is WandaVision.
Okay.
WandaVision is it's one of the great shows, and like we're really getting into the weeds of what's good and great here, I think.
Yeah.
And WandaVision was great. It sets up so well in that first episode by giving you nothing. It gives you nothing.
Nothing at all.
And you're like,
yeah.
what is happening? And the only reason I'm like excitedly watching that first episode with my friend Will, shout out Will, but I'm excitedly watching these episodes, the premiere episode. It's the first thing we get post-COVID, man.
Mhm.
First thing, pandemic's over, we get something Marvel. It's on Disney Plus, it's WandaVision, and you're watching this episode, and it gives you nothing.
Yeah.
And
like you're just like, oh yeah.
And it was like it made it so
Yeah.
much greater. And that episode by episode, like the decade by decade
sort of
bit,
revealing things, kind of giving hints, and then
it was so good. It worked so well. And my biggest gripe with this episode, and Valerie's gonna make fun of me if she listens. I don't know. She goes on and off of whether, but my biggest gripe is as a I got secondhand. I don't know. Secondhand spoil is not the right word, but I got before WandaVision came out. I think I was reading the cast list,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember seeing Agnes, and everyone was like, "That's got to be Agatha, the evil witch. Like that's got to be her."
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "Okay, that's the obvious villain. There's got to be
Who's the
something else
secret?
there."
Yeah.
That's you hear the Mephisto. Is it
Mephisto.
Mephisto? And
Yeah.
it's like that would be cool.
Yeah.
Agatha being the main villain was a little underwhelming.
Was a bit of a letdown. Yeah.
But it's only and that's the thing. I gotta step back out of my nerd closet, out of the troll bits, and I gotta realize the only reason it's a letdown is because my expectations were too high as a fan.
Yeah.
And if I watch this show start to finish, there's no issues really, which is the best part.
But well done all the way through. Yeah.
Correct. And it's just, but it's predictable a little bit, and that's why it's where it is. Very, very great, good, whatever. I needed a little more of a twist than just it was Agatha all along. Great song though.
I really enjoyed the show. I remember when they first announced that they were going to be making this, I was like, this is going to be boring as shit. Who the hell wants to watch something with with Scarlet Witch and Vision? Like, what the hell? Like, what is this going to be about? Like,
when this was announced, I hated it on the name alone.
Yeah,
I was like, why is this Scarlet Vision? Like, her name is Scarlet Witch. Why are we calling her? And then, but then you call her the Scarlet Witch reveal in this, and then
that was
it's very well done,
and it introduced, like, we got a tease at the multiverse, like when Evan Peters showed up. I remember that episode. I literally, my jaw literally dropped to the floor. I was like, what? I mean, it didn't pay off, but still, like, and it was awesome. Like those like it was 2 episodes of those 2 episodes of like, oh my god, Quicksilver, X-Men, like all the, like, you know, it was awesome. But yeah.
I agree. Yeah. It was very good. And I enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit. The rewatch is honestly better than the original for me, because now that I'm not waiting for the twist and I have it, it's just even better. And that's I really like it.
My number, we're on 6, right?
6, correct.
My number 6 was What If.
Okay. So very close.
Yep. Yeah. We just I just really enjoyed the show. It was well done, and I know we just spoke about it, but yeah.
What is your favorite episode of What If?
I mean, it's cliche, but probably the finale. I mean, I really enjoy. I've probably watched that about 10 times. Like,
but isn't it crazy to say you rewatched this? Like, like there's so, like I said, like we have so many Marvel shows, and the only one I've really rewatched
is What If. Yeah, same. I don't think I've rewatched any of the Marvel shows now that I think about it. Like, the only one I've watched is What If. Yeah,
we've rewatched WandaVision together because we both really enjoyed it. But
well, I guess technically I rewatched WandaVision because I watched up until before the finale, and then I was like, Kayla's got to watch this, so we watched it together. So I guess I technically rewatched it, but I wouldn't count it as a rewatch.
Nah, I think you're good. Okay, so number 5. My number 5 is Loki.
Okay.
This is so for anyone keeping track, on my list, this is the last show. Loki is hands down the best show, in my opinion.
It was the best. It was the best and had the most implication on the MC, or the most like the most I guess I don't know, whatever the right word is.
Never in my life could you have told me, hey Zach, Owen Wilson is going to play a pencil pusher character on a Marvel show and you're going to love it. I would have called bullshit and told you to hang up the cleats. Like, absolutely wild how good Owen Wilson is as this random dude.
Mobius.
Mobius. And like, it's so good. Loki, I mean, Tom Hiddleston. I don't have to, like, it's Tom Hiddleston. Do we really have to talk about that at all?
He's fantastic. I mean, I when they announced this show, I was like, what the hell are they gonna do with Loki? Like,
this very much was Black Widow until you see it and you're like, oh no, it's not.
Yeah, so I had no idea what the TVA was, all that type of stuff. But then when I started learning stuff about that, like, oh, they're the time there, like they they're like time police. I was like, that's gonna be awesome because they're gonna be going back in time. They're gonna be like doing all this cool time stuff, which did pay off a bit. They went forward in time a little bit, back in time a
Yep.
little bit. They
Yep.
went to different like planets as they were getting destroyed and everything. Like, and they brought in like variants. Like, this is the first time they ever introduced variants into the MCU. Like,
I know we talked about the implication of No Way Home's variant. We didn't use the word for it, and they don't say it in No Way Home. But
no,
I mean, the variants are in No Way Home. We have the different Peter Parkers, right? And that's what like the implications Loki presents to us, and also watching Loki, you're watching it the whole time, and their whole goal. Oh, real quick, I want to step back. I talked about Tom Hiddleston, and I just wanted to say another thing the only thing I want to say about Tom Hiddleston that like applause to is he does an incredibly good job of playing Thor 1 Loki in
yeah,
2020. Like,
yeah.
that's an issue I think Black Widow hasn't changed that much over the years, but like you see Black Widow and it's just new Black Widow.
Yeah.
But like Tom Hiddleston plays old Loki, who's a dick, who's not redeemed yet. Like,
yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, like this guy is still an asshole.
Yeah, he's still the guy that wants to conquer the world. Like he's still really Thanos' little bitch. Like, you know.
Right. And that's exactly correct. And that's so so that being said, oh shit, what was I trying to the variants.
Yep.
But like I like the implications that Loki has, like you're watching the show and the TVA's goal is I forget the ultimate time stream, the main time stream. Sacred timeline.
Yep.
Sacred timeline. So you're like, their whole goal is to have one universe.
Yeah.
And as someone, and I don't think it came out yet, but you're like, we're about to get a show called What If about the multiverse. There's a movie slated to come out called The Multiverse of Madness. So if you're one of us and you know the movies and stuff coming out, you're like, this has to end in failure.
Yeah.
So that's it, like knowing it had to end with the TVA failing. It was phenomenal seeing that failure happen.
Dude, seeing Kang show up at the end of that show.
And that's
oh my gosh. I mean, I didn't know much about Kang. I didn't know much about the character, but like I learned more about him as like I was watching breakdowns and people were like, it's gonna be Kang. And then when he showed up at the end, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like this is like shaping the entirety of Phase 5 and possibly Phase 6 and Phase 6.
It's shaping the saga. It's shaping the multiverse saga. Is Kang the Conqueror, the He Who Remains. And quite frankly, Kang, He Who Remains, single-handedly is why Loki is ranked above WandaVision for me, because that surprise villain twist did not disappoint, even though people predicted it, even though like the writing was on the wall a little bit, that wasn't me, but like it was so good. It was I was so excited to see that happen, and it's single-handedly the reason why it's better. And like
Jonathan Majors is so good as Kang, and as He Who Remains. You know, like he plays as someone's kind of like Shakespearean. Like I love when you know he knows everything's gonna happen. He knows what Loki's about to say. He knows what Sylvie's about to say. He knows where they're gonna be. And then there's this moment where he goes, and now I don't know. Like he's kind of like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like you could kill me right now. I don't know. I'm vulnerable. Like he's almost excited that it's it's so cool.
Jonathan Majors is going to be amazing in the MCU, and that's that little bit we get of him.
It just shows
phenomenal.
His range, like he's.
I mean, he's the reason I'm excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's the reason it's so exciting. He's the reason you look at Avengers Kang Dynasty and you're like, not only is he going to somehow win in Ant-Man 3, we get an Avengers level movie with this dude.
With multiple of Jonathan Majors as Kang. Like there's going to be multiple Kangs.
Assumably.
Yeah. Like that's going to be awesome.
So, I mean, and then this show was just, it was so good. You get stupid things like finding out Loki's bisexual, which was funny. Like the way he's
I forgot about that. Yeah,
that was hysterical. That was so funny. And then like the Loki magic, like Loki is a phenomenal show and is
Yeah.
very
The
warrantly
the
number
Loki
5.
variants were awesome. Kid Loki, Alligator Loki,
Alligator
the old
Loki. And the
Loki,
idea that no one
Brute
knows, like,
Loki.
is he actually a Loki variant?
Yeah,
Like,
or is he just an alligator that they threw a horn crown on? Like you get President Loki, like that was so cool. Like
it was so, I love it. I love it.
was it number 5, right?
So that was my number 5. Yes.
My number 5 was WandaVision.
Okay.
Um, we talked about it in pretty much its entirety, but I just really liked it because it was the first Disney Plus show, and I very much enjoyed it. Going into it thinking I wasn't going to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
So
great point.
so
That's a great point.
I really liked it.
So your number 5 is WandaVision. Do you want to go over anything else or?
No, we pretty much covered it all. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So my
Number
number four, my number 4 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Same here.
Nice, nice. I like mixing in the top. But yeah, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I mean, we just talked about it, so I really don't feel like I need to say too much. Go watch our last video and give us some likes or something.
There you go.
But I think the long story short of it is Wakanda Forever is a very, very good film. But the things are, at sometimes you feel the length, and again, it has so little rewatch for me, which should tell you how good it is that it's this high on the list.
Yeah, no, it was a very well done movie. Very, sets up some crazy things that can happen in the future for the MCU.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just lacking that rewatchability.
I sit here and instead of rewatching that, I just want to watch Ironheart, or I just want to see the next Black Panther story. Like,
yeah,
I just want next.
Yeah.
It's a great, great movie, which is why it's my number 4. Your number 4.
Yep.
But it just leaves me, well, especially after experiencing it. Like, please watch that movie if you haven't. Like, it is so emotionally such a good movie.
Definitely try to see it in theaters. I know there's always that thing of watching at home versus theaters. I would try your hardest to try to see this in theaters because it is very cool on the big screen.
But yeah, I think that's about. I think it's all I need to say.
If you want more of a breakdown, we did an 1.5-hour episode. So
go watch our video.
Go check it out. We broke it down a lot.
So my number 3. Okay, so we are in our final. So just a reminder, 3. If you're still with us, our number 1s are Spider-Man
No Way Home. Yep.
I'm getting this is the top 2 for what's left. My number 3 is Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness.
Same here.
Nice. I love Multiverse of Madness. Since it's been on Disney Plus, I've rewatched it. I want to say 2 times.
I may rewatch it tonight after this episode.
It's so good, and that's Multiverse of Madness is very classic MCU. It's got MCU. Shoot, I'm lacking my vocabulary right now, but it has implications. There we go. It has MCU greater implications. It has very funny moments that are kind of self-contained.
Yeah.
The Illuminati is
such a cool introduction, and I hope we get like a 616 Illuminati soon. I know like it might be difficult because Tony's not there and all that type of stuff. But like, you could throw in some other people, Shuri maybe,
I loved the idea that another universe came up with something further than the Avengers, and it was the Illuminati. And I love, and that was the thing, right? Like, I remember going back and finding out people were like spoiled on what's his name being Mr. Fantastic. And I was I had no idea that was coming. I knew, and that was so quite literally next to Andrew Garfield walking through that fucking portal, finding out he was Mr. Fantastic was the next biggest out loud moment for me in theater.
Yeah. Dude, I remember, I forget if I was sitting next to you or I think I was sitting next to you during Spider-Man when we saw it before Christmas last year. I think I think next to you or maybe sitting next to Owen. And I remember when the portal opens for I'm sorry, I'm jumping into Spider-Man No Way Home, but I just got really pumped thinking about it.
I'm sure not going to complain.
When the portal opens and they're like, "Hey, Peter, Peter," and he turns around. I was like, that's not the same eyes. That's not the. I literally like, I think I started hitting you or Cece. I was like, that's not the same eyes. That's not the same. Like I was like, that's Andrew Garfield. Like,
And that was to say No Way Home. That was such a good edit because yes, you see Spider-Man, but the eyes are so clearly, if you know, it's
yeah,
the Amazing Spider-Man eyes.
yeah. I was like,
And
that's not Peter. That's not, or that's not, that's not Tom
that
Holland.
is, I think I jumped out of my seat. I started clapping. Like I did every audible thing possible in the theater when I saw those white bug eyes, man.
Yeah.
Next to that,
Reed
Krasinski
Richards.
dropping through that portal.
That
is
was
so cool.
awesome. I mean, and Patrick Stewart rolling out. I mean, I know we got that in the trailer. Like I know we got that spoiled in the trailer.
But it was still awesome
but it
to
was
see
still
it.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
you get the or whatever the hell the theme is.
Yeah, like that was cool. And I'm glad they didn't use like he's a variant. He's a variant not Doctor Strange. He's a variant Professor X.
But again, you're establishing that whether you like it or not, the X-Men movies are in the multiverse. They're variants.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie in its own is great, but it's so much better because of the implications.
No, and it was, it was great. My only gripe with the movie was there wasn't enough multiverse. Now I know we got that montage of like, I don't know, 15 or 20 different multiverses.
But I mean, they're just crashing.
But they were snapshots.
Things.
Yeah, it was like, oh, there's one that's like a cube world. No, there's one where it's all this Tony Stark drones, and oh, there's hell, and oh, there's that. Right. But like, I wish there was a little bit more. We spent like, even if they had like a 10-minute montage of them skipping universes trying to find America or something like that. Or, I mean, not America, the country, but the character.
The character, yeah. That's it's such a name, but like I know we like this was before the podcast, but I know we talked about like theorizing, right? You're like, who could show up in this movie with no spoilers on cast or anything like that? You're like, okay, it's the multiverse. What could they do? Whether you have a 5-second cameo, which I'll Across the Spider-Verse, whether we talk about that tonight or not, but like, I mean, there's a next video. Keep an eye out for that. Like you start wondering what's going to be a cameo, what's going to be a character, what's in, what's out. Like I agree. My point is, I agree. The implications of Multiverse of Madness was a little greater than what the movie delivered. Now, the movie delivered great. This is again very similar to WandaVision. It's your point of expectations. It's if you walk into this movie blind, this movie is awesome.
This movie,
But just the name Multiverse of Madness, it implies slightly more than we get. And that's only because, we're sitting here waiting for characters like Deadpool or X-Men characters from the other universes or, old Fantastic. Like, as much as I absolutely loved Krasinski showing up as Mr. Fantastic, what if the original dude showed up?
That would have been so cool. Yeah.
That would have been just as cool, to be honest.
Because I have a feeling Krasinski isn't going to be Mr. Fantastic in the actual
and I'm fine
Fantastic
with that.
Four. Yeah, which is cool. And they did this as a fan service thing. It was hey, everybody's wanted him to be Mr. Fantastic and Emily Blunt as not Miss Fantastic, Invisible Woman. And it was a cool little throwaway thing. Like, hey, we got John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. Sure, it was for 5 minutes at most, but
right.
We still got him in the MCU as Mr. Fantastic. It was cool. It was a nice little thing. Great movie, very well done. Sam Raimi killing it with just everything directorial in this movie.
I mean, the Wanda snap of
my god,
Professor X, like
terrifying.
He really
and
there's a reason I would love Sam Raimi to do Secret Wars.
Yeah, that would be really cool to see him do that. One thing that I feel like kind of got swept under the rug from this movie was the music. The music is awesome. Like if you listen to the soundtrack, like the title score, it's Danny Elfman, the guy who did he's done a lot of stuff, but most notably he was the singing voice of Jack Skellington in A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, okay.
But he's a composer for movies, but at least that's what I know most notably for. But I just really enjoyed this movie. That's why it's top three.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. And that's it's really exciting having like God, this I know you just I kind of got the itch to rewatch this now too. Like and I it's just a fun movie. But moving on,
Number two.
number two, which
Check.
I think
Yeah.
I've kept track enough that I know yours.
And I think I know yours as well. Yeah.
I my favorite non-Spider-Man movie in this phase was Shang-Chi. I kind of held up. That's why I've been inputting pretty much for each of yours, like
Yeah.
as it comes, kind of a thing. But like I waited just because this is it's my highest non-Spider-Man, and
Yeah.
this movie was. I mean, I'm gonna put words in my mouth that I might regret at some point, but like to me, Shang-Chi Phase 4 was like Doctor Strange Phase 3. Like it was an original character
Yeah.
with almost nothing bad about the movie. And I even the stupidest shit, like Aquafina as the side character,
Hmm.
I don't like Aquafina.
She was
She's
decent in the
hilarious.
movie. Yeah, she
I
was good in the
loved it.
movie. Yeah.
It's very funny. And I just think it's really fun. It's really original for the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed it. I know I've talked about it in the podcast before, but the action sequences, the boss scene, man, it's so badass.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. With the
and
Razor Fist or whatever, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
to have fight sequences that aren't completely CGI are a very big breath of fresh air. It's one of the reasons, and I know I've said this before, it's one of the reasons No Way Home is so good, is because you don't just have Spider-Man flying by someone, you have an actual fight sequence. But
Yeah.
that's what Shang-Chi, it's even more.
It's like actual martial
arts.
Yeah.
And so it's just so cool.
And they
You
did they did like the rope, not the rope fighting, the string fighting, like almost kind of like in like the 70s and 80s like kung fu
Yes.
movies, like when his dad and mom first met and they were like fighting in that forest area, like they
Yeah.
had like like
The
they
like
looked like they were flying on strings and stuff, and like that was really cool.
it
Like
flows like it's just it's all flows. It flows very perfectly. And even you want to talk greater MCU, how fun was it seeing? It sucks they put it in the trailer, but Abomination fighting Wong
yeah, that was
so
awesome.
cool. Like
I mean, it is the Wong verse. If we're gonna,
it is
be
the Wong
Wong verse.
saga. It's the Wong verse. People like get used to it. This is Wong's world, and we're just living in it.
Oh yeah,
Just drop a pen. But like it was so that was fun. The fight, the cage match between him and his sister is really cool. Like
yeah.
it's just a very good original movie. The even the CGI, whatever the hell Japanese monster fights are kaiju.
Oh, that like dragon thing, or
The Japanese dragon fight at the end is
yeah,
Marvel CGI goodness, and I just eat it up.
It was awesome. Yeah,
And it's funny. Like I talked about a lot for rewatchability, and I wouldn't say I've rewatched this a lot. I've rewatched it, but like it's a lot of Marvel movies so much it's comfort food, right? And I put it on and I've talked about half listening or half watching.
Yeah.
I can't do that with Shang-Chi. I have to watch it when I put it on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna rewatch it soon, but it was a movie that did draw me in. Like I couldn't take my eyes off the screen when I watched it. Like it there wasn't really a dull moment, as far as I remember.
And that's why it's my number two. I really enjoy it. I think I Simu Liu, love him as
Oh
Shang-Chi.
yeah, yep.
I really enjoy this movie, and I think this is the stuff you focus on. You focus on Multiverse of Madness, in this Multiverse of Madness is a good example of sequels moving forward. Shang-Chi is the good example of original films moving forward.
Yeah.
And those are the things you look at and go, okay, this is why Phase 5 can still be great.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows like characters like that. Like Shang-Chi I'm guessing probably isn't a popular MCU character.
He's nobody
in the comics.
He's basically nobody.
Yeah, and it's like when they did the Guardians. Like no one knew what the hell the Guardians of the Galaxy were, but they just made the movie, and it was like, hey, it did well. Shang-Chi did very well in the box office. I'm pretty sure. Like
I think so too,
especially in the middle of a pandemic. So I mean, kudos to Marvel for pulling it off, and it's an awesome character. The 10 rings were sweet, and they're probably going to play a big part in the upcoming, battles with Kang and stuff like that. So, well,
I also just Shang-Chi, like as a guy, was the most like funny, relatable,
oh yeah,
like the him and Aquafina's character, whose name I forget, but like him and Aquafina, like after finding out they're gonna basically be Avengers, and like what are they gonna do? And they look at Wong and they're like, we should go rest, and then
or
they go to a bar and they just start doing karaoke, like just
it was very
such
yeah.
good shit, man. It's great.
I loved the one line. She was like, "So your name was Shang, and you changed it to Sean." She's like, "How did you think you weren't gonna get found?" He was like, "I don't know."
It's great, and yeah, I think that's pretty much. And like I said, I think we talked about before. I think the director of Shang-Chi, Cretin,
Oh,
Daniel Cretin, is gonna
Yeah,
be
he's the
Kang Dynasty,
Kang Dynasty
which
director.
that gets me hyped,
Yeah,
absolute hyped.
yeah. I mean, the
So
action was awesome, so we'll see probably that same sort of action in Kang Dynasty. So that's gonna be sweet.
exactly,
Yeah.
number
Um,
two.
my number two was Loki.
Yeah, I
Um,
love it. I
I
love it.
this
Before you go, real
yeah.
quick, I just want to say, for what it's worth, Val's number one was WandaVision. So, like, to
Okay.
me, I just
Okay.
think it's really cool that not only she but you have a Disney series as your favorite thing.
Yeah, I mean this show I was hooked. I remember when they announced it, I was like, a Loki show, like what the hell are they gonna do? And I know like we had talked about that earlier, but I mean this show it that finale, I was like whole like when the sacred timeline started breaking off and everything, I'm like,
It's
oh my
beautiful.
God. I was like, this is changing everything for the upcoming movies. Like, the multiverse is happening. Like, we're gonna start seeing variants of other characters, and we did. We saw this clearly had an implication on No Way Home. I mean, I know the whole spell thing going wrong and all that, but like
But like it
clearly
only exists like in canon, the only reason the spell could go wrong for the multiverse is because
is
of what happened
because
in
of
Loki.
exactly. It's
Loki
because all the
caused the multiverse.
yeah, which this that show just had such an implication on the greater MCU as a whole. Like it just shot everything. Like it was like, oh hey, um, you know, uh, we're doing this show about the TVA, but also your whole world's about to get fucked up. Like like your sorry for the language, but your whole um, it was just amazing. I have no other words. It was just I loved the show. I was hooked. It was the best Disney Plus show. I mean, I did like WandaVision a lot, but I think Loki was just amazing. And it made me
And I
like the
agree.
character even more. Like I was never really a big Loki fan. I was like, oh, okay, the god of mischief, whatever. But like
And that's the other thing too. Like Loki really I agree. Like I loved Tom Hiddleston's Loki, but never would I have guessed. Yeah, I think he holds his own.
yeah.
But this show proves that wrong. Like this
Yeah.
show showed like Loki just worked, and it was so enjoyable. And again, this is another one where I already forget what the other one was on my list, but like this is another one where no, this wasn't a movie, this was a show, and it worked as a
And it
show
worked very well. Yeah.
very well. And
Like
you're right.
there wasn't any of those fluff episodes either. At least I didn't feel like. Like
No,
there wasn't those. I was never bored watching the show. Although I haven't rewatched it.
okay.
I do want to go back and rewatch it, but I've just liked it so much that I was like, I don't feel the need to go back and rewatch. I don't know.
I have rewatched it, and I think it holds up. I
Okay.
really do. I think it stands its ground because we talked about fluff episodes. I remember there were fluff moments, but it
Yeah,
never felt like a fluff
a
episode.
full
And I think that's
episode.
a
Yeah,
huge distinction. Like She-Hulk's an obvious one. The
yeah.
fucking wedding.
The wedding.
Like it's an entire useless episode.
Yeah.
Loki doesn't have that. You might have a moment where you're like, that scene wasn't really necessary, but are you really gonna sit there and complain about a whole scene? Like, no, you're gonna talk about how the episode pushed
And
you forward in the narrative.
the thing I thought was really cool was the not the narrative, the scenery of the show was awesome. Like
Yeah.
the planet they were on that was about to explode. Like that was so cool. Like when
The
the
fake,
moon was about to when they're in the void
yeah,
and
yeah,
the old Loki kind of recreates Asgard with magic, and I was like, that's awesome. Like and the whatever cloud dragon monster thing, Eliath, I think whatever its name was, like that thing was
Goliath.
awesome.
Or no,
Um,
you're right, Goliath. I
so it
think
was
that was
something, yeah,
yeah,
Goliath
yeah,
or
yeah.
some sort of Eliath.
And I don't think it can be said enough. The variance, the idea of
Yeah,
variance, everything that it brings to the show. This show, I mean, hell, this show presents the reason why in No Way Home it makes sense that Peter Parker is three different actors.
yeah.
Like this show, the first thing you get is, oh, the
Is
other Loki you meet isn't Tom
isn't
Hiddleston.
yeah? It's a
It's
completely
a
other gender. Yeah,
female Loki.
yeah.
And so that immediate thing is why No Way Home works.
Makes it
And
possible for Toby and Andrew to hop in. Yeah,
correct. And and I'm not just sitting here saying Loki's good because it's justifying No Way Home, but I'm just saying the amount of things Loki establishes that other things are going to build on, including No Way Home. Like,
yeah,
it's just Loki will for sure be the building block, the keystone of the multiverse saga.
yeah. Yeah, I think probably one of the coolest endings when Tom Hiddleston gets thrown or when Loki gets thrown through the portal and is kind of like freaking out and they're like, "Oh, it's fine," and then they turn and it's just a giant ass statue of Kang. Like I was like, "Holy!" Like I was like, "Is where is he? Like where is this? Our timeline? Is this another timeline? Like what is happening?" Like
And that's the other thing too, right? That was an amazing finale.
yeah,
Like, and I'm not talking that, like we've already said, a great finale episode, but like as far as television cliffhangers go,
that was
what a season
huge.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, just a remember that statue where the TV or the timekeepers were that we now know are not real. It's now the guy you just faced that said, yeah.
It's
Oh
just
my
him.
god, this is
Is that guy?
terrifying.
It's that guy that you were just told is going to ruin the entire multiverse. He's now
Yeah.
in charge.
God,
And
my favorite line of when Jonathan Majors is talking when he's like, you think I'm bad? Just wait till you meet my variants. And when he said that, I was like, oh my god, he just acknowledges other hymns. Like,
I just got chills. Like I'm just like, this is why I already said it, but this is why Quantum Mania, like that's the hype for that is amazing.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And
So excited.
I don't know. And not enough good things can be said about Jonathan Majors. This is
He's going to be
portrayal of Kang so far, let alone what's going to come.
absolutely amazing. Quick non-related side note to MCU. I mean, it related sort of, but there were pictures going around of Jonathan Majors just absolutely ripped, and they're like, oh, people were like, damn, he's getting ripped for Kang. He's getting so. It's because he's in the new Creed, and he's like, I just thought it was funny. People were like, damn, we're getting a ripped Kang, and it was like, no, he's ripped for Creed, not for Kang.
Counterpoint. I hope. Correct. He got ripped for Creed 3, but I hope
if he
we just get like
up,
a shirtless Kang, like
just like a buff Kang.
It's very
one of the councils, just like a shirtless Kang sitting there, like
I was gonna say,
crushing
like,
protein
you remember
shakes.
The train Rick and Morty episode,
yeah,
where the conductor and everyone, he's like, holy shit, is everyone ripped on this train? It's like, I hope Ant-Man goes to fight Kang, he rips his shirt off. It's just like, oh my god.
Bruce.
That's funny. That's it. I love it. Just ripped Kang, just like straight jacked
just
Kang.
8-packs. Just that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean that's all I
there
got.
You
on
go.
Loki. Yeah, I mean that's MCU Phase 4 ranked.
I'm very happy with both lists. Like,
yeah.
I know we were very similar on a lot, and even like I talked about it with the specials, but like even if our location on the list was different, a lot of them lined up similarly.
Yeah.
And I just think it works well. I enjoyed this a lot. This was fun.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I would even possibly go back and do phases 1 through 3.
I would absolutely do that
at some point. I mean, we got some other stuff to cover in the future, but yeah. Yeah, that'll you got anything
else
else?
is fun. Hit that like button.
Oh, hit it. Don't double tap it. I made that mistake earlier.
But oh no, don't erase the.
Hit it once. Hit it once. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. If you're feeling nice, maybe hit the bell. I think that does something.
Hey, I saw we got 2 likes last time. Let's get 3.
Let's
3 likes.
3. Hey, 2 people that liked it last time, maybe like it again. Another person out there listening, hit the like button. Doesn't cost anything. Doesn't just not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna zap you. You're good.
Are you listening to the podcast? Go subscribe to YouTube. You don't have to watch it. Just
hit the subscribe.
Get over there.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything. It's free. It's free real estate.
This is great. I know I talked about it earlier, but I think our next Star Wars episode will be Andor, and our next Marvel will be a mini Spider-Verse.
Yep, we're gonna break down the new trailer that just popped out. So we're sorry we're a little behind on Andor. That's my bad. But we'll get there. I was slacking on. I fell asleep. I had the flu while watching the final episodes, and I fell asleep watching the final 2 episodes. So
it's worth it. We'll get there.
We'll get there. But all right. That'll do it for episode 22. Unless you got anything else, good.
Just comment what your favorite MCU Phase 4 movie was or show. I've screwed it up already. What's your favorite Phase 4 thing?
Comment down below. There we go. Okay. I froze for a second. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.